weeks later, it's like, hey, I plugged into the meat socket of That Is Love. Welcome to ScapeChatz episode 36. My name is Alan, and I'm here with a bloodthirsty Brinshound that goes by Magellan. This week, we're going to be discussing Season 4, Episode 1, Crichton Kicks, which was written by David Kemper, directed by David Prowse. Let's try it again. Let's try a little sentence again. I was like, no, I'll stick with it. No, it's not directed. It's bad.
Directed by... Oh, I forgot.
Ron Jeremy. This week we're going to be discussing Season 4, Episode 1, Crichton Kicks, which was written by David Kemper, directed by Andrew Prowse, and it aired June 7th, 2002 in the United States. John, we got a setup here going on.
Yeah, we do have a setup. Now, you at home may be wondering, a setup? What could that mean?
It's a setup.
Is it a setup? No, it's a setup. Let me explain. We're physically in the same space.
We're looking at each other.
We have a small TV tray table kind of thing with 2 laptops and 2 swivel arm microphones pointed right at our faces. This is hopefully the new normal.
This is the new way that we're going to do things for the rest of forever, maybe, for at least for a little while, because Magellan's home and we can do shows in person. And why wouldn't you when we can do things like this? Hey! And then you gotta it's like a sentence situation. Like you gotta.
Oh.
All right, ready? Here you go. And hey,
listeners,
how are? Well, you can be just as awkward as you were on Skype. It's great. You don't even know how to do improv games. Oh goodness, folks. We started season 4 of Farscape. We're here. We're in the new land now. And as predicted, nothing is different.
I don't know if that's true. I think there are some things that are different.
I will definitely say that I liked it a lot. Mm-hmm. I had a lot of fun with this episode.
I guess nothing's different in the sense it's a season premiere where there's some stuff happening and it kind of is getting undone and blah, blah, blah.
I more mean nothing happened in that we said in the season 3 recap, I bet you they're going to undo all this in one episode. And we were totally on point. Yeah. And they did it in a pretty good way, which is they just said, hey, what if we just jumped ahead? Like a lot. Several months, maybe. We don't even know exactly how long. Because this is only 2-3 months after the season 3 finale. Mm-hmm. And I like where they're taking it. I think the time jump is good. I do want an explanation of what happened during the time jump, like a brief one. But seeing Crichton with the beard and just immediately back on top of things.
Yeah, I mean, what do you have questions about in the time jump? I think I'm wondering about Aaron, but I'm sure we're going to get to it.
That's next episode, probably.
Probably. And then Dargo wasn't there. Right?
Well, we know what Dargo's doing. Oh, I know what Dargo's doing.
Oh, he's on his quest.
Yes.
Yeah, right.
That's in the comics, apparently, by the way. I found that out from someone recently. That they do the, here's what Dargo's doing between 3 and 4.
Oh, really?
In a comic. Because remember there's, the 3 Dargo comics, Dargo's Lament, Dargo's Dinner, Dargo's Dessert. Those are the 3 meals.
So is it established in the show when he comes back? By the way, I was back there doing this. Or
I would hope so. I don't know yet.
And the comics are just elaborating on it?
Probably.
Okay. I guess we'll know.
Yeah. If and when we end up reading the comics, or when Dargo comes back, actually, more specifically. I just also wanted to know, how did Crichton go from lost and out of fuel to on another ship on Elak, the other Leviathan?
I think that's a good question, because I don't know off the top of my head. That's how I judge whether questions are good or not. I think he was just picked up.
Yeah, I think it can really be as simple as he was there for a while, he got lucky, got picked up by a really, really old Leviathan named Elak.
Who was there to die.
Yes.
In the burial ground. And then a lot of this episode is about them and about him reuniting with some of the crew, specifically Chiana and Rigel. And Jewel.
I forgot. Jewel was there?
Yeah.
Was Jewel there?
I'm pretty sure Jewel
was
there.
Probably there. No, she totally was, because she melted some steel beams. The only reason I'm not sure is because I don't remember her and new character being in the same place at the same time. Mm-hmm. So, whoops, it's been a while since we watched these episodes.
It's been a
while. So I'm gonna do a Control F for Jewel.
Computer.
Dargo, Pilot, Naranti, and Jewel do not appear in this episode.
Jewel's not in it?
No, because what's her face? Sikozu is Jewel.
In my memory, I'm mixing them up.
Yes, it's a hidden memory. Thank you for bearing with those listeners. Because they introduced Sikozu in this episode. The very cool new character who's going to be with us until the end. I liked her a lot. I think she's interesting.
Yeah. I don't know. She's just kind of another character who's going to yell at people.
Right.
Which isn't the biggest plus in my mind. But she's got a different background. The whole idea of her having this explicit ties to Leviathans, and like she's got book knowledge. She's tied to this kind of criminal element. She's from the Scaran territory, which is something I wasn't sure if there were people who lived in the Scaran territory who weren't Scarans. So that is something that I'm glad is there, because we had so many characters that were humanizing the Peacekeeper domain and not doing so with the Scaran domain. So that's great. But again, it's just like, it's another character who's like frustrated and crazy.
Grumpy, yeah.
Yeah. Not as cool as my real favorite character who was introduced in this episode.
Who's that? Is that Elak? No, it's the new pilot. It's... yeah. Who are you talking about?
I'm doing a hand motion where I'm like doming my hands and shaking them around, which is supposed to be a DRD.
Oh my god, 1776.
I think it's 1812, right? Because it's the 1812 overture.
Yeah, you're right. 1812 is amazing. $1812 might be the best thing about this whole episode.
Yeah.
If we're being honest. Because they have been like... You can tell as soon as they introduce DRDs on the show that, like, you're supposed to think DRDs are cute and cool. And I do, but there's none of them. They're just the DRDs.
I've never been emotionally attached to a DRD.
Except the one that died in that one episode, in I think it was Fractures, where it, like, stayed behind in the room that blew up.
Yeah.
But even that was, like, I knew that DRD for 2 seconds. Come on.
Yeah.
I want to see 1812 make it to the end. And I think he does. Mm-hmm. Very exciting. I love 1812. And his amazing little minigun powers.
Mm-hmm. And just, so funny. Like, the use of that song is really odd and creates that kind of weird juxtaposition, but in a way that makes you very fond of that DRD and actually lends a kind of emotional weight to what's going on. Because at first, when it shows up and Crichton's working on whatever, he's going through the halls, like, I'm forgetting the tune to the 1812 overture, but he's doing it. He's a crazy weird man. Ha ha ha. Right. This is so funny.
It's very,
and then at the end, it's like, oh my god, I'm gonna cry.
It's because the thing is, like, that song, like, so much classical music can be utilized. It's like any and all music, really. Like, if you contextualize it differently, it works in different ways. Because at the beginning, it's like, oh my god, he's going crazy. This is so weird. And I had just a few months ago at this point seen V for Vendetta for the first time. And that new movie uses that song poorly. Because that movie is like, we're going to blow up the House of Parliament. Dun, 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 dun. And it's supposed to be like triumphant, but that movie's also trash. Oh, shit.
Whoa.
Yeah, I don't like V for Vendetta very much. And so then I was like, oh, hey, it's that song again. But then again, at the end, when Crichton is like working on, or like redrawing all of his wormhole stuff, and it's like, oh shit, this is like inspiring. Like, I'm way into this. I will say first weird thing I noticed though was that this show is in widescreen now, which you were telling me like, oh, there was something weird. I didn't notice why it was weird, but like, this is weird. They finally made the jump.
Yeah, I don't know what it is. There's something about that standard definition to widescreen that I never noticed the switch consciously. Like, it always affects my brain where I'm thinking, oh, this looks different. What's going on? All the costumes are odd now, but it is that switch to widescreen. Yeah. The same thing happened when we watched Buffy.
With the unreleased Buffy Chats podcast that doesn't exist.
And other show, like every show.
Yeah, from this period.
This specific year, like, does that jump to widescreen.
And that's why, it's also interesting to see shows. We're just talking about like video effect stuff now, but like, shows that came out after that was established, like around like 05, 06, like Lost, that pilot made a big deal out of like, it's in HD because basically everything was in HD at that point, and the rest of the show was. But then now it's like, oh wow, there's still that weird transitory period where they thought it was like a big deal that it was in HD or in widescreen rather.
Yeah.
Because it's like there was standard def, then there was widescreen, and then there was like high def.
Right.
And now it's like, we've gone from there.
There were some shows in the early aughts that were still standard def, right?
Yeah.
Even after, like, Farscape here is switching in 2002, but I feel like
they're comparatively late.
You think they're late?
Maybe.
Isn't Scrubs starts in standard definition?
Yes, it does.
Didn't that show start in like 05?
Did it? Well, it's a network thing, honestly.
Yeah.
Like Comedy Central definitely is like a cable channel, so they
were on NBC, I think, or one of those.
Was it really originally?
It was on Comedy Central.
Or something like that? Well, yeah, networks and cable stuff, they all do that different. Like they did it at different times, and they forced it on different shows at different times.
Yeah, that's true.
But it's just a weird thing to notice because it's like, oh, they have way more real estate to use now.
Yeah.
Makes all the shots feel a lot more wide.
It's one of those fun things that when you're watching old shows, you notice happen to multiple shows, kind of like the writer's strike.
Yeah.
If you're ever watching shows, what was that, 07?
06, 07, yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah.
Any show that spans that gap, it's like, oh, there's this weird season in the middle where it's half as long and all the episodes are bad.
Lost again. Perfect example of that.
Yeah.
Speaking of things that are just weird because it's a new season, we got widescreen. We also have Crichton just has a beard again because whenever things get weird, our boy gets a beard.
Yeah, and he was shaving it off, and it was like made of...
Yeah, it was like mud poop or something.
Yeah, it looked like... the chia pet. It looked like he was a chia pet.
But he's like un-chia petting himself.
He's shaving off his chia.
He grows a good beard. But then he shaved it, and then they're like, why are you shaving? I love that. That's a really weird exchange. Like, why are you shaving? He's like, oh, obviously, I'm shaving because I figured out wormhole technology. You're like, what? How does A transfer to B at all? Like, that's very strange.
That was a play. I really liked Rigel in this episode. He was very playful.
Yeah, they're doing more stuff with Rigel, and especially when he doesn't, like, he's not angry about anything. Like, he's just in it to, like, see where things go.
I love it when he's forced into a position of being sensible.
Yeah.
That's kind of the best. That's
a good Rigel
stuff. Before we get too deep into this episode, I want to talk about the fact that the title sequence...
That was the next thing on my notes.
Oh!
Do you want to do a new reading of the new title sequence?
Yeah. Listen, I had gotten used to and forgotten how annoyed I was by the echo voice effect in the old ones.
Yep.
I'd even started to think by season 3 that it was a good idea.
Yeah.
It's not.
No.
It was bad the whole time.
Right.
It's like so cheesy.
No,
not
that thing?
Not that thing. The thing that they did a little bit in the early seasons, and then in season 3 they went overboard, where it was like, my name is John Crichton, an astronaut.
Oh, like it's like
the
sounds like two people are talking.
Like,
my friends. These people, my friends.
Yeah.
That thing?
Which thematically works in season 3, I guess, because he's cloned.
Right.
Sure. But it's just...
I also don't think they planned it to be like that. That's
probably not. But it was super cheesy. And here they were just like, nope. Straight down the barrel.
Dumb.
This is going to be a good version of it. And I agree with my hypothetical envisioning of the writer's room.
It's a nice room in your head. I have it in front of me. Do you want me to read it?
Yeah, please read it.
My name is John Crichton, an astronaut. 3 years ago, I got shot through a wormhole. I'm in a distant part of the universe aboard this living ship of escaped prisoners, my friends. I've made enemies, powerful, dangerous. Now all I want is to find a way home, to warn Earth. Look upward and share the wonders I've seen.
Way better.
It flows better.
And it also doesn't have that weird repetition at the end of the blank I've seen, the blank I've seen.
Yeah.
That bugged me too in the season 3
It's like weirdly repetitive.
Yeah.
Or unnecessarily repetitive.
Yeah. I think back in season 1, I felt that this show didn't really have a theme song. Mm-hmm. It was very ambient.
And then the chanting, obviously, which became our theme song.
It didn't really catch me. But this, for some reason, it feels like, yes, we're getting into the episode now.
Yeah.
I could show somebody this opening sequence, and they'd be like, show me the rest of this episode. I'm hype. I'm psyched for this.
It's exciting. I don't know what it is. It's partly that part of like, all I want is to find a way home to warn Earth. You're like, oh shit, what are we warning Earth about? Like, what's going on? because season 3's title is like very ambiguous. It's like, wait, like wonders I've seen, but there's also horrors. Like, what? I don't even know. This is like very directed and like, hey, here's what it's about. Fucking let's go. Let's do it. I just closed the wiki. I have no thing to read anymore. Whoops. But no, yeah, the other thing I was going to talk about was this episode is really fun. It starts with a fake out, followed immediately by the introduction of yet another character who is fleeing from something. Sikozu. Because she's fleeing from the people, like the pirates of this episode, who she worked for? Is that how it works?
Yeah, I think the idea, I don't remember the exact point, but the idea was she was going to get them Leviathan stuff so they could do
the scrapey thing.
You
know what I'm talking about? Where they like scrape the like, juice off the side of it and make like candy out of it or something.
And then she gave them schematics that were like so good that they didn't need her anymore. Yeah.
And so she's running away because they were like, oh, we're just going to kill you since we don't need you anymore. And she's like, no, I want to live. She's smart. It's sort of like how Jewel came into her own as like, you're kind of smart and you have like a skill that the crew needs. It's like Sikozu knows like a specific thing really well. And I just kind of like age-wise kind of put her closer to Chiana than I put Jewel. Like Jewel and Chiana are like close enough, but it's like I would actually maybe argue that Sikozu would be younger than Chiana, just because she's like kind of like fresh out of college. Like just you could say like if you want to do equivalents, like this is her graduate thesis. Like you know, like she's just like I studied you know Leviathan goop for a year and a half. But like the thing that I was going to say about her introduction is that scene is her talking, like the first one where she's introduced is like 10 minutes of her going like, I need to learn your language.
I love that.
I know.
Yeah.
I adored it. She's like, I need to learn your, it's like, find it. But she's like, I need to learn your language. Like, well, how does your alphabet work? And it's like, this is like a character who's running from something and it's about communication. Like these guys get it. They know what the show is good at and they're just doing it from like the minute we start. And it's like exciting. And you're just like, oh fuck, this gets it. I'm in. I'm good.
It's great because it's a really playful sequence. John as a character gets to come out a lot because he's often depicted as being separated from other characters because of the way he uses language in terms of his references, his aphorisms, just the way that he talks separates him. And so instead we have a sequence where we're reminding the viewers of the rules of the world, that there are these things called translator microbes and this is how they work. And so there's some clarity here as well about how translator microbes function, more support for the theory that like you hear someone else what the sounds they're making and the microbes translate it for you in your brain. But making clear that like you're still hearing the sounds and you can still kind of push past what the microbes are saying to just listen to the sounds.
So the actual untranslated sound.
There you go. There's that.
Well, also just the reason she's asking for that is because she says my brain cannot handle translator microbes.
Yeah. Or not for extended periods of time.
So she's like, I have a little bit of it. But like, I need to, you have to tell me you have to give me your vowels and your, it's like cool. It's like, hey, give me the fundamentals of your language real quick.
Yeah. It's the best alphabet scene since Vampire's Kiss.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's a classic. They're going to say like, the Count from Sesame Street.
Oh, that's a good one.
He does numbers, I guess.
Yeah.
He's not a, what is it, Vitruvian man? The guy who's good at everything.
A Renaissance man.
Yeah, Renaissance man.
The Vitruvian man was drawn by a Renaissance man.
Oh man. And then she says like, I must learn your language through hearing it. This, the name, the word, and she's pointing to the gun and he goes, oh, Winona. And it's like, no, you
it's gun.
It's like it's gun, my pulse pistol. She's like, more words. They'll be here soon. He's like, module, workbench, box, tools, bulkhead. It's just like throwing out Farscape terms. I love that scene. Is like one of the best.
Yeah, I questioned why that helped her.
Yeah.
I guess. Is the idea that she biologically can just learn language really quickly?
I think that's what it was.
I think that's what's going on. But then, like, it's not like she ever uses the word bulkhead.
Right.
I don't know.
What is it? Yeah.
So throughout the episode, the microbes are still working for her. That's just a thing that they made it a fun sequence. So I'm not. Yeah. I forgot about it. You know?
Yeah. So I have Scorpius written down in my notes. Is Scorpius in this episode?
I think there's a dream. He's the beach. He's at the beach.
Why are they at the beach?
It's John's dream beach. where Aaron's there.
Oh,
he goes there to
with the
escape
pregnant stomach?
mentally. Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
That nice little visual reveal of the pregnant stomach.
That's a good. She's like lying on her side, and you're like, damn, hottie. And like all of the straight guys and not straight other people out there are like, oh, shit. Oh, oh. And then the people who like pregnant women are like, oh, shit.
It visually is playing on this weird discomfort that at least I have, and I think other people may share it, with like sexualizing pregnant women. Mm-hmm. To make you feel uneasy and to add to the like dream like quality of what's going on.
It's almost Lynchian, just to be like, oh, you thought that was attractive, but she's also pregnant. Do you still think it's attractive? What?
Yeah, because it's not explicitly making the judgment, but it's putting you in a place where you're having this interaction with the visual medium where it's eliciting a response, and you are actively engaging with it and feeling
that whole sequence is really strange. It goes a lot of places, but I also want to talk about the weird like Scottish pirates that attack them for this whole episode. Basically, there's not much to say about that other than they're all really loud and Scottish, and they have really great gun designs. I will point that out for sure. And their whole plot to stop them is like he runs into Sikozu, then he finds Chiana and Rigel, and they like concoct a plan. It's actually kind of cool, the execution of it, where it's like, hey, all of the pirates are over here, and there's like a bunch of pipes, and like one of them is going to blow up if we shoot it. Mm-hmm. Another one is going to suppress the explosion so it doesn't kill Elak. And then like another one is going to like blind them so that we can leave. And we have to shoot them in the right order. And so the way they do it is we learn that Chiana's like premonition powers are getting more difficult and like lasting longer, and they hurt her a lot.
They blind her.
Yes. Well, in this scene, they blind her like completely. Mm-hmm. And she's blinded during them. Yeah. And so the way they do it is she gets like hoisted up by like a pulley system or something, long enough to see it and slow down time, so she can see exactly where they are, and then she tells them, and then Crichton does it. But of course it goes wrong, and she falls, and it still works out, but like not the way they want it to, which is very Farscape.
Big shout out to that sequence in this episode for bringing back two things that I think we mentioned in the recap. One of them, the premonition powers, and showing us how they work finally after they've been around for half a season.
Right.
I think that was definitely a conversation in the writer's room where they went, guys, she's had these powers for 12 episodes.
We haven't done anything big with them yet.
Yeah, what do they do? Thank you for that, Farscape. Second thing is we got the nice bat guano pit.
Yup. Excuse me. Yup. I love that bat poop. And we also know now that every Leviathan has it. Because John, when he falls in that scene, falls right into the poo-poo. It just looks like dark water, though. They don't make it look like poop enough.
Yeah.
I need it to really have like smell lines and everything. There's a theoretical Terry sighting actually in this episode.
Oh,
Terry, our sweet boy.
The bumper for Terry sightings.
1776. And that was the bumper for Terry sightings. Which sounds like shit. I have to edit this.
Why did I do that to myself?
When John uses a cloth to wipe his face while shaving, it's technically Terry, but we're on another ship, so it's not my Terry. Hashtag not my Terry. It's not the original. The original is in Rigel's room. I'm going to break this glass. It was not Terry. I can't drink after saying something like that and not continue. Terry's great. I love him. He's great. Then there was that really good discussion where Sikozu like killed the guy outside and was talking about currency. I loved that. Where she's like, oh, this is Scaran currency. Like, and they're like, why do you have Scaran currency? And she's like, because I'm from Scaran extended territories or something.
Yeah.
And they're like, you know, we have currency separately. Like, we were talking during the finale, the dog with two bones, like, how does capitalism work in space? And it works the way it works in most sci-fi things, where just every controlled area has a different currency. But they're all, I like that they're all coins. Like, it's just like, hey, you have Scaran coins, and they're like red with a dragon on them. And, you know, you have whatever our gang has, like credits or something. But of course she's not actually a Scaran. They have a moment in that scene where he's like, oh, Pip, you think she's a Scaran? And it's like, no, dude, she's not a cool lizard lady. She's like, I am Kalish, and we hate the Scarans, but I did grow up in their territory. Kalish is a good name, by the way. But speaking of Sikozu, the other thing that we find out like a little bit earlier in that scene is that she has a superpower, just like Chiana does.
She does.
It feels like a cheat code. It's like, this power shouldn't be this You're gonna break something. You're gonna break my logic with this at some point. She can change her center of gravity.
Which shouldn't do that.
Yeah. It shouldn't do what she's able to do, which is walk on walls and ceilings.
Yeah.
Yeah. It should just be like you weigh differently in different parts. And you can carry the rest of your... Like, maybe she can say, like, I put all my weight in my feet. Then it's like, how did you lift them? Like, how would being able to walk on a sideways wall, how would shifting your weight be able to do that? Like, bring it up to this... I really did think about the mechanics of this while watching it.
Yeah, it just doesn't... It's just a nonsense phrase.
Well, also, yeah, what it means is she can, like, walk on walls. That's really what it means. But, like, technically being able to shift your gravity could mean you could fly. Like, put it in your head.
Yeah, could she just float away?
Yeah.
Given that she could, like, go up to the ceiling.
It's kind of, or, like, she has magnetic movement powers. You could kind of see it as.
Yeah, I don't know.
I think they're going to get into it at some point.
Or it's going to be, like, a Dargo tongue thing, and we're just never going to
We're going to see, like, once in a blue moon, and it'll be like, oh, cool, that's it.
Or Zan's fucking camouflage power.
Oh, yeah! I forgot about Zan's. Yeah. Also, she's a plant, don't forget.
Yeah,
R.I.P. Plant Mom. This episode also, the other thing they do in it, like besides killing the pirates, is killing their dog, which they do. It's like a cool dog. That's an Animalogic dog. Fun fact. It's like a really good. The CG in this show definitely bumping up.
Yeah, the effects were way better this episode.
Definitely. And they get it out by like putting it in an airlock room where you can like you can like put your hand through and stick your hand out into space, but the ELAC has like a protective invisible shield of gravity that they can pierce selectively, so they like get the dog to jump through it and then like shoot itself out the window, but then they also like tether down so that they don't get knocked out. Very cool stuff going on.
Oh yeah, because the dog was like hunting them.
The episode. And then Crichton does the like, hey, check me out, boop boop boop, and, like smacks his butt, and you're like, Crichton, please, this is great. And then there was, I think he like kicked something, and then they said Crichton kicks, and I laughed at that. Let's take it to the Moyabag real quick.
Yeah.
Hello, lovely scuppies, and welcome to the Moyabag for the first episode of Season 4 of Farscape. We're going to start off with Twitter again, right into it. Here it is. It's... with the memo. She says, my fave, holy shit. My categories. I have a different definition of essential than you guys. My essentials are episodes you have to see to understand the plot, plus deaths, not necessarily the good ones. Essentials: Season of Death, Wait for the Wheel, Thanks for Sharing, Incubator, Icarus Abides, Wolf in Sheep's Clothing, Dog with Two Bones, Highlights, Fractures, Revenging Angel, Green-Eyed Monster, Great, To Decent, Relativity, Different Destinations, Scratch and Sniff, Eat Me, Iench, and Everything Else That Doesn't Suck, and Lowlights, Sons and Lovers, and Losing Time. Dark Horses being Meltdown and The Choice, but we knew that, so people can go ahead and judge Omens for those choices or not. Quoting us saying, this episode is so full of itself. This sort of not being able to laugh at itself thing isn't usually my dig. I feel you on the, if you won't laugh at yourself, I'll laugh at you deal. But Bae, I'm assuming that she is in fact referring to The Choice. About your predictions, I was sad and then I cried laughing because accuracy and the baby will end up floating in space like his or her dad. The sheer ridiculousness of that, Magellan could not be more right and also more wrong. Referring also to the fact that I mentioned that Dargo wants to be a cool uncle someday. Maybe that will or will not happen. Who knows? I think there was a second part to this memo that you didn't send. I think you sent the same memo twice, Omens. So, but if that's all of it, then that's a really good one. Thank you very much to Old Loser Omens. I'm not doing the bumper twice. Angela Scrangela.
My name is Angela. Hey, hello.
Says Season 4 brings Farscape to the widescreen finally, which we most definitely spoke about in this episode, either before or after this Moyabag. So there you go. We also got 2 emails. One's a brief one from a person named Catherine who says, hey guys, love the show. Just finished catching up on the podcast over the past few weeks. Wanted to say, I would love to hear an episode that talks about media that's been influenced by Farscape. You mentioned Mass Effect, which is probably my favorite game, and it definitely shares many of the same themes as Farscape. Also, I think you mentioned briefly how Guardians of the Galaxy pulls from Farscape, and in fact, the director James Gunn has mentioned several times in interviews that Farscape is one of the main influences of the style of the movie. It's interesting to hear your thoughts on the show, as I only recently watched Farscape this past winter after a friend recommended it, after they had finished it. I think it's awesome that the show still holds up, even though it's been some time since it aired. It really shows that Farscape is something special. And even though I'm a new fan of the show, it's really become my favorite show overall. It combines everything I love, space, humor, and characters who you can get emotionally invested in.
Again, thanks for the podcast. You guys do an amazing job, and I can't wait to hear your thoughts on the rest of Farscape. Katie. Katie, thank you so much. Wonderful email. Brought a smile to my face. And thank you for being a new listener. You are now part of the beautiful little clan of Scuppies that we have going on here. Next up is the return of our weekly emails from Dax Static.
I put a shot to your system.
Greetings, Alan and Magellan. Welcome to Season 4. I get what you were saying last week in your recap about not wanting to watch the last episodes of TV because they are so good you don't want them to end. I get that feeling a lot. We start the season off right with a bearded John, because that was so good the last time we saw him with one. Hey, I sport a full beard myself and think more guys should as well, but really, after suffering through Jeremiah Crichton, there's no excuse on Farscape to go that route again. Luckily, it doesn't last long. We see John is still obsessing over wormholes, and Aaron, starting to think mental instability is sort of an ongoing theme in this show. Which, yeah, mental instability has been a thing in the show since the beginning, but especially now with the John kind of like his brain being in so many places. We get an explosive introduction of Suzuki. I'm not even going to try to spell that one out without Google. The cute redhead. There you go. I'm surprised I had forgotten all about her until I saw her on screen, then it all came back to me. You guys even mentioned her name last week, and I recall thinking, who? But not really trying to remember, since I figured there are always characters I forget when trying to recall a series. But once I saw her again, I couldn't believe I had ever forgotten. Gotta give props to the music this episode, specifically when the bad guys were shown, there was that Soviet feel to it. Really made it feel more fun. So did seeing cute redhead on the walls. And then they also talk about the, gravity not making a lot of sense with her whole shifting that whole thing, John reconnects with his friends, but not all of them, so we don't get a super quick fix for the separation, and we've seen in the past how long they can be separated for. So any guesses on how long they'll have to wait until everyone's back aboard one ship? Unfortunately, Dax, we learned while researching this episode that people are going to be back in prayer, I think. Not prayer, I'm sorry, prayer is not the episode. Maybe it is? There's an episode, we talked about it in the episode of this ScapeChatz thing that we found out when everyone's going to be back, so whoopsie. Okay, so I'm going to end this with a proposition for you two. How about doing a commentary for the next episode? I'm not sure when you watch the episodes in relationship to when the podcasts are released, so I hope you haven't seen it yet. I have two very different feelings on commentaries. If done by someone who's seen the movie or episode, I love it usually, but most of the ones I've heard are people watching for the first time who are too quiet because they're paying attention, or when they do talk, they miss things. So normally I would not recommend a commentary from an intro cast, but there is something very specific that happens in What Was Lost Part 1 Sacrifice that when I first saw it, I literally said, "What the fuck?" out loud to my TV. And I was kind of thinking if there's any sort of similar reaction from you two, it'd be fun to hear. I'm not going to spoil anything by hinting at what to look for. I think it'll be pretty obvious, just something to think about. Hope you enjoyed the final season. After all the praise Season 3 got, it might be easy to think it's all downhill, but I don't particularly think so. Season 4 is unique in its own special ways. Thank you, Dax. I will say that we've definitely talked about doing episode commentaries before. I do agree, though, that I've heard things like that, and it's not always great when you're listening to someone for the first time watching something. If there are particular episodes that people would like us to do commentaries for, like either with or instead of episodes, I guess we could do that, because we record in the same room now, so doing that would be a lot easier logistics-wise. But I don't know, we've been tossing around that idea for a while, and I would like to do at least one commentary for Farscape, but I don't know which episode people think is good for that. Finally, we have our Reddit thread where we only got one actually parent comment, which led to a lot of discussion in the comments from both me and user Leo Chris. The parent comment was from Blue Blaze Spear, and I'm going to read this whole thing because it's, like I said, the only parent comment that we got. I thought you made up a new word with monumentous, but I googled it and it was one of the first things that came up was, is monumentous a word? To which the answer was definitely no. The trick with the episode title, Different Destinations, is that it was pulled from something Stark said. When asked what happens to people's souls when they die, he answers, different beliefs, different destinations. Alan, you did a weird if not slightly amusing thing when discussing the episode Scratch and Sniff that heavily implied that while you aren't down with date rape, it's something Magellan would totally roll with. And Magellan didn't say anything to object, which made it more amusing to me, but that's only because I'm functioning under the presumption that it actually isn't how he rolls. That's the part of the comment that I replied to because I figured that I wasn't going to be recording the Moyabag this week, but circumstances have led to me recording it. Of course I didn't mean for it to sound like that. I think it's more a matter of I am a lot more sensitive about things like that, and Magellan just, we think about them differently. It's not to say that he doesn't care as much. It's not to say that he didn't pick up on it when I did. It was more that when I brought it up, he was like, oh, yeah, I guess that's a reason to not like the episode. And so we kind of have that different opinion on Scratch and Sniff. I still think that date rape plot is not very good or particularly well handled, but I like Scratch and Sniff as an episode for everything other than that. So it's unfortunate. But never, ever think that Magellan and I are like trying to throw each other under the bus or don't like each other for whatever reasons. He is my best friend in the whole world, and like that's just an objective fact. So if it ever sounds like we're trying to like fuck each other over, that is just, it's false. Sometimes we say things and we don't mean them. I don't know how much I can say about this before wandering into spoilers, but the mess made at the end of season 3 won't be neatly wrapped up within the confines of a couple of episodes. Of course it isn't. That's what I'm saying at the end. You guys mentioned how the show isn't afraid of letting little moments carry weight, and one scene I often think of is when they give Moya Crichton his stuff that Talon John had, and he picks up the coat and smells it. It's never explicitly said, but you know in that moment that he can smell Aaron on Talon John's clothing, and he's done the math on what went on there. So much drama expressed in such a small way. It's a very good thing to pick up on. That's very smart of you. There are a couple of points worth noting when it comes to the ever-increasing infamy that Moya's crew is gaining. This is basically saying, like, it's ridiculous that they've destroyed so much property, and yet some people still don't know who they are. But they're starting to get better at that and having people be like, hey, I'm pretty sure y'all are like basically terrorists. A quick note on Naranti that I'll try to keep spoiler free. In many ways, I look at her and think, oh, this is what Stark could have been had they handled him better. There's a real question as to whether or not she knows what she's doing and about how nefarious her motives might be. I find it to be engaging. One last thing I want to mention is you guys brilliantly pointing out how the seasons can be broken into mini arcs. I sort of want to opine what I think season 4's arcs are, and I'd be curious to see what others who have seen it think and if they agree, in a way that is as spoiler-free as possible. For me, I'd say Crichton Kicks stands alone with its connecting tissue going back to the end of Season 3, and then What Was Lost Part 1 through Promises, then Natural Election through Coup by Clam, and then finally Unrealized Reality through Bad Timing are each their own arcs. Though it could be argued that there's a separate arc in that last one, but I feel like they all connect pretty well. Yeah, I feel like I stumbled onto that point as we were discussing it, which is sometimes how the most brilliant points can come out of podcasting. But yeah, people can chime in what they think about the arcs of season 4. Again, with trying not to spoil things for us, because we are a non-spoiler cast. That's going to do it for the Moyabag. Thank you for listening, and I'm going to toss it back to in-person Alan and Magellan as they finish discussing Crichton Kicks.
You have Irish in you, don't you?
Yeah.
Somewhere.
But I'd like to have a little more.
And we're back. We're talking about the rest of Crichton Kicks. Basically just the scenes that we didn't get to already.
Crichton thighs.
Crichton Kicks, Crichton thighs. Crichton hot wings with extra dip. I want KFC, man. Let's eat something after this.
I haven't had KFC in a while.
There's a KFC nearby that we should not go to because KFC is bad for you.
Double down.
Yes, it's a tasty little snack gum. Callbacks to season 2. Good job. Yep. I want to talk about the rest of the John Beach dream scenes, because those went some interesting places. Basically, he's talking to Aaron, and he's like, hey, we have a baby together. This is weird. And she's like, yeah, I know. Is it yours? And he's like, maybe we should pull up the transcript so we don't talk out of our ass. She's like, Crichton, that's very meta of you.
He says something about asking if it's going to come out with a little ponytail.
Why? Because she has a ponytail?
No, Grace has a ponytail.
Oh. Of course it's not Grace. They never had sex. You literally never left them alone together. Long enough to have sex. I mean, he probably did. But, like, it's the other Crichtons. Why are we questioning this? Why is that the thing we're worried about?
Just because Crichton's crazy and he's had so much time to think about this.
That he's
thinking about all of it.
You gotta imagine that he spent all of that time growing that beard and being in the ELAC, hanging out with the other pilot, old lady pilot, just, like, thinking about Aaron and being sad.
Oh, yeah.
So he's had a lot of sad time. And time to hang out with 1812 and paint him. Like, paint him red, white, and blue and all this stuff. And train him like a little pooch. Here's the scene I'm talking about. Oh, she's like, what's next? And he's like, what's left? And she's like, wormholes. And then he talks about how he has to recreate a ton of the wormhole equations because he lost all of them. He's like, I don't know if I want to anymore. Like, that's a lot of work. And she's like, hey, it's probably worth it, man. And then this guy who on the transcript is credited as Buff Guy, one word, Buff Guy, is like talking to them and he goes, hey, babe. And she's like, thanks. Like, he hands her a drink. And then he looks at John. He goes, who's this? And then Aaron's like, and John's like, no one. That's in John's head. He's the loser in his own story. Like, that's really sad.
When you can type buff guy : hey babe in a script,
You've made it.
you know that you've really made it.
But that like scene resonated with me. That just like, you know, a lot of times like when you have dreams about things, it's like, oh, you're reflecting what you truly think, and like maybe you're less secure than you thought. Like that's obviously what so much of Dog with Two Bones was.
Well, but also if you think about something for so long, there's no way that you could think about it in only a idealized way forever. I feel like there's always going to be moments where the doubt creeps in, and when you play out the worst case scenario.
Right.
Yeah.
That's also the last line of the episode, I should point out, which is that's a good way to end it.
What I just said is the last line?
Yeah, everything you just said. No, when he says no one. There's like some cutting around, but there is no talking during the 1812 like rebuilding, but that's the final scene. The final line is no one.
Gotcha.
So he does that, and it's really sad, and you're like, oh, Crichton, like, you know, your girlfriend is sad, and maybe she doesn't like you anymore, and you're sad, and you don't think she likes you. It's just fuck. And then, what do you do when everything has you down? Get back to work. Just start again. Which is also a good note to start a season on. He's like, well, we fucked up, but we can't just not live. We have to go. We have places to go. We have wormhole technology to rebuild. So he just gets down on his knees, and he starts writing on the walls, and 1812 helps him out, and he starts writing. They're getting better at the transition. They're always, now it's not even a question, like, are they good at the transition? But that was a good one. Yeah, 1812 also did some minigun stuff earlier, like shot some pirates. 1812's great.
He's so cute.
Yeah, he's adorable.
So cute.
He's my cute little baby. Magellan, do you want to read us some background information?
I do. I am the background robot. Anthony Simcoe Dargo does not appear in this episode.
I miss him. He's my beautiful boy.
Although Dargo does make a brief appearance on the wanted beacon. That's a big plot thing, that they're all wanted for a lot of scratcho.
Oh, yes.
A lot of scratcho for these people.
Yeah, we're gonna have that's the tension. That's like, hey, here's free tension for the rest of the season. Is you're being chased by the best bounty hunters in the world. It's very
Hunted.
Star Wars.
They're being hunted.
Yes.
It is very Star Wars. That's like immediately what I thought.
Yeah.
Some strong KOTOR vibes seeping through this show.
Bounty, $2 million.
KOTOR may not have been out yet.
I think it was. Whoa, let's find out. You keep talking.
Okay. The beach scenes were filmed at Bondi Beach, Sydney, Australia. Claudia Black's scenes were shot during the filming of Promises.
Promises.
Which is the next 2 episodes? Is that what Promises is?
Yeah, I think so. She was still feel oh so wasted. Remember that song? It's like a garbage techno song. KOTOR was July 2003, so real close.
Oh, I
just missed it.
I gotta not reference it because that's not apocryphal. What's the word? Where it's the wrong time.
Idiosyncratic.
No, that's not quite right. That's not quite right.
It has an A.
Anachronistic.
Yes! 10 points to Gryffindor.
The lines Crichton shouts at the Grudex
Those are the Scottish aliens.
is based on the real Klingon language created by Mark Okrand. Ben Browder asked Ricky Manning if he could find something that roughly meant "get the hell off my ship."
It's sorry, I didn't mean to yawn during that. I just love that, like, crazy Crichton first like scene, new day on the set. Hey, what are we doing? Just screaming Klingon. He's like, yes. Ben Browder's like, yes. I've been preparing for this my whole nerdy life. So happy to get to do that.
This is the first episode of Farscape filmed in widescreen, though 4:3 versions were also created during post-production for broadcast in some locations.
What that means is everything outside of the 4:3 is irrelevant. It's like it's extra.
Right.
So we're getting bonus on the Netflix. If you're watching on Netflix, like we are.
You're getting bonus blank space.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like I'm sorry we talk about Buffy so much, folks, but like they were talking about in like the making of DVD or something on the Blu-ray that's going to come out soon or already came out, that they were going to like widescreen all the episodes, but because that show was filmed and not widescreen for a lot of it, if they did that, you would just see crew. Like, you would just see shit that wasn't meant to be seen when they filmed it originally.
That's funny.
Which is very funny to me.
The opening scene where Crichton sums up his situation was added as a voiceover to explain to the new audience what was going on and help regular viewers catch up on what happened with Dog with Two Bones and this episode. Unlike Jeremiah Crichton, the beard Ben Browder sports in this episode is real. What?
Yeah.
Really?
Yes.
He grew it in the hiatus between season 3 and 4 and shaved it during the filming of this episode. Oh my god,
So
it did not
unnecessary.
look real.
Not only that, but just that was a one take. Like we're gonna shave you.
Oh
Do
my
it right
god,
now.
it looked gross.
Yeah, it's very fuzzy and peachy.
Wow.
Dude, I don't know if I said this at the time, but the Jeremiah Crichton beard didn't look very real either. So maybe he just doesn't grow
It
realistically.
looked real when it was on his face, but the shaving did not
In this?
look realistic to me.
Yeah, I agree.
I don't know. I've never had a big beard that I have to shave, so.
I can't grow one, so whoops. I just don't have that capability.
Beards are hard.
It's my favorite song.
Elak's pilot was created by Jim Henson's Creature Shop, using the foam insides from the regular pilot puppet. A new puppet was created for pilot's appearance and promises. What?
Damn it. They keep telling us when people are going to come back.
So there's going to be a new pilot puppet.
No, Eli, this pilot is the new pilot puppet.
No, Elak's pilot was created by Jim Henson's Creature Shop, using the foam
you're saying
insides
the
from
one
the
for-
regular pilot. A new puppet was created for pilot's appearance and promises.
That's weirdly written because pilot with a capital P can mean any pilot of a Leviathan, but they're talking about Moya's pilot.
Yeah, they're talking about pilot.
Moya's pilot is going to have a new puppet soon.
Yes.
Got it.
The Bryn's Hound was created by Anamanaguchi, and they spent a lot of time getting the mechanics for the creature's 6 legs correct. Browder enjoyed filming the scenes where the dog would eventually appear, even though he was acting against nothing in the studio.
Yeah, sometimes that stuff's fun. Sometimes it's like super janky, especially in like big budget films, but yeah.
The end credits of this episode play the 1812 Overture, which is the song Crichton whistles periodically throughout the episode. This is one of the only episodes that do not play the traditional Farscape theme song during the rolling of the credits. So there wasn't a transition, tough guy. That's why the transition was so good.
That's where the tough guy was so transitioned.
Ah! Dargo, Pilot, Naranti, and Jewel do not appear in this episode, nor does Scorpius, though Harvey does. Grayza appears only briefly in the recorded message. Aaron appears only in John's visions, except for recaps. Aaron does not appear in the next 3 episodes.
Damn it.
God damn it. Appearing next in Promises. Okay, great. So now we know all this stuff about how Promises is far away and people are not coming back until then. Thanks, Farscape Wiki.
Thanks, Farscape Wiki.
This is the 6th and final episode of the series in which Dargo does not appear. So Dargo will be back.
He's in it for the rest of it?
Yes. The previously on Farscape segment for the next episode, What Was Lost? Sacrifice, includes scenes shot for this episode that were not used in the episode due to time constraints. The entire scene was included on DVD releases as a deleted scene.
Speaking of deleted scenes, before I tell you the hilarious thing that we're going to get comments about later, we're going to get yelled at real bad by the comments.
Why?
I'll tell you in a sec. There are... remember how we said last time in Dog with Two Bones there was like deleted scenes of everyone like doing funny stuff? That's all on the like 15th anniversary DVD.
Whoa,
So,
very cool.
We should pick that up. We've been singing the wrong 1812 overture this whole time.
Yeah.
You want to know what the actual 1812 overture is?
Yeah.
Alan, play a clip of it right here. Actually, Magellan, play a clip of it right here.
1776. New York City.
Thank you. It's the... Yeah.
What have we been singing?
Like the French national anthem. Like... Wait, I don't know what we're singing anymore. We made it. I don't know. That's the. I just listened to some of it, so I was like, I feel like we're getting it wrong.
I'll fix it.
Thanks, man.
I'll make it work. This episode introduces Rayleigh Hill as Sakozu, who, like Jewel, possesses red hair. Although she appears... possesses is an odd word there.
Yeah.
Although she appears in virtually every episode of Season 4, Hill is only ever credited as a guest star and is not added to the opening credits.
That's annoying.
The DRD dubbed DRD 1812 is also introduced this episode.
And not in the credits.
And becomes a regular for the remainder of the series. The main titles for this season was again new, with a new voiceover, different clips, and the removal of Lonnie Tupu and Paul Goddard from the credits. Bye, guys.
My eyes.
Chiana's powers have changed from precognition to speeding up her perception, making what she sees appear to slow down. This leaves her blind temporarily.
Spoil it temporarily. I thought she was blind for the rest of the show.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
She said when she was talking to him, she's like, it makes me go blind temporarily.
Oh, I didn't know that she said temporary. Okay. It sounded like that last time she did it. It was like, oh god, I can't see. Oh, I fucked up.
I think that time may have been like a little worse than usual, but it wasn't permanent.
That's fair.
This is the first episode of the series to not feature any involvement by Lonnie Tupu, given that it is the first in which neither Crace nor Pilot appear. Consequently, Ben Browder is now the only actor to appear in every episode of Farscape.
Makes sense. I am happy that Lonnie Tupu doesn't have to overwork himself and play 2 characters every single episode now. But he doesn't get to be live action ever again. Excuse me, that was Crichton Kicks, folks. We had a lot of fun watching that one. I really, really enjoyed it. I hope that Season 4 keeps up this level of quality throughout and keeps giving us these like weird little adventures. Because the way I described it to Magellan was like, holy shit, Farscape did like a swashbuckling pirate adventure on a ship. Like, they didn't go anywhere. This is technically an on-ship episode.
Yeah.
They did all of this like planning and high-flying adventure, and like that's really cool. And I think Sikozu's great, and I think the stuff that they're hinting at is really interesting. So let's hope that the next couple are also wonderful. Speaking of the next couple, where are we? What is this? Our ship has brakes that sound like a car? This is weird. Is this Planet Netflix?
Oh my gosh, wait. What's this on the ground?
Read it to me.
It says, Season 4, Episode 2. What was lost, Part 1. Sa ...
Wait, what?
This view of Netflix is not wide enough for me to see the full title
It's not a
of
good
the
name.
episode. Why don't you look up those subtitles while I read this?
Okay.
What was lost, Part 1. The crew is reunited at an archaeological site, looking for a missing probe that may reverse the planet's dangerous atmospheric conditions.
Ooh, I like it. They're talking about whole planet saving kind of things. Sacrifice is the subtitle.
Sacrifice. And the title for Part 2, why don't you read that out?
Resurrection.
What was lost, Part 2, Resurrection. Dargo and Sikozu come up with a plan to crash ELAC onto the Peacekeeper pursuit craft, but to ensure success, Crichton must consort with Greza.
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 I like Greza. I like already that we're pairing up Dargo with Sikozu. I like everything about this. It sounds very exciting. Let's do some housekeeping. Let's clean the house. Just
do it.
That was me using Clorox wipes, and they're very
That
squeaky.
wasn't you parking the car again?
Just really quickly back and forth. No, actually, I'd like to tell folks that, first of all, thank you for listening to ScapeChatz, episode 36. Let us know what you thought about it. Send us feedback over at scapechatz@gmail.com, or at ScapeChatz on Twitter, or scapechatz.tumblr.com. Or if you want to talk to me, little old Alan, I'm at Alan Ibrahim on Twitter, spelled ALLENIBRAHIM. And Magellan?
You can find me at Just a Fluke. That's JUSTAPFLUKE.
Wonderful. This has been ScapeChatz, finding our way home.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Moyabag. It's me, Magellan. I'm doing the Moyabag this week. Just wanted to say that this is my favorite part of the show, and let me be perfectly honest. I love the Moyabag, and the reason I love it is, you can just feel it. It's like grip. Okay, time for our first letter. This comes from Daryl, and it says, Dear ScapeChatz, I really love your podcast. It's my favorite podcast to listen to. I have one problem, though. I wish that you both were not you. Here's what I mean. I love Farscape because it's full of people who are pretending to be other people. That's my favorite part of the whole show. What if you guys were other people? Not other people, but just pretending. Ugh. I don't know if that was clear. Anyway, love the show. Love the show. Love the show.